I'm a very, very avid fisherman. Annually, I go down to the Zambezi, Lake Kariba, especially to my old stomping grounds in national parks. I spent 7 years with national parks in Zimbabwe. I used to be stationed at Chete Safari area, which is on the lake, and my jurisdiction covered half of Lake Kariba, all the way from Sengwa all the way to the Kwai River. So I was stationed in those areas in the 1980s. And we were on top of our game, and there was zilch poaching, no poaching of any game, no fish poaching. But unfortunately today those areas are getting hammered, especially from the Zambians. But across Chete on the Zambian side, there's a huge town there, and that's just where all these people are coming from. They're coming across, even living on our land, living on our islands, living on our mainland in these protected areas. And the national parks doesn't have the resources to do anything about it, because simply they don't have boats. They don't, they've got some manpower, but they don't have the funds to control these areas of anti-poaching like we used to do. Because I'm so passionate about that area, I do an annual trip there. I'll go for a minimum of 3 weeks every time I go. Sometimes I go 4 weeks. And every single time I go there, I do go out of my way to do some anti-poaching patrols with national parks. I took national parks in my boat. Last year, in the Chete Safari area, we recovered, it was well over 14 kilometers of illegal fishing net. We've been at it probably 2 hours now, pulling net. We probably haven't even got halfway yet.
Nowhere near halfway.
Probably, we're guessing about 15 kilometers of net all the way up there. And we've worked all the way from that opposite bank. So there was net all the way from there to where we are now, non-stop. And it goes across the other side there. We can see a bunch of nets there. The Zambians are based on these islands, and they come across at night and then lay their nets, and then normally remove them first thing in the morning. But we did a dawn strike, and we recovered over 14 kilometers of illegal net just in one sort of bay between the Ruzi and Chete Gorge. Those rigs there and banana boats behind, that's everything that's been captured from the Zambians and confiscated. These guys are also netting the rivers. They're putting their nets right across the entire river. Any fish swimming up the river to go and breed gets caught and gets killed. These guys get these nets very, very cheap, provided by the Chinese. The proper regulations for netting in Zimbabwe, they've got to be of a certain size. In other words, so these nets don't capture the small fish. So the small fish can actually swim through there. But the Zambian nets, you can tell on some of those nets, their holes are tiny like this. So basically they're catching everything. And also there's a huge demand from the Chinese in Zambia for a certain type of fish called a squeaker. Those ones, you mostly catch them at night time in the lake, and a lot of them in the rivers. So basically these guys are actually killing every single fish. The holes are too small, so it doesn't enable any fish to swim through. And on top of that, they double the depth of the net. So fish can't even swim under. So any fish swimming down there, they use either lead weights or rocks to make sure the nets go down deep, and then on top they've got floats. What happens also, particularly in the rivers, but all over the lake, the crocodiles come and try and eat the fish that are caught in the nets, and they also get entangled in the nets. On one of the ops, we had a big crocodile caught in the net, and we didn't have any drugs to sedate the crocodile. It was a big croc, and we cut as much net off as we possibly could, but we do locate often crocs also dead in the nets. And up in the rivers where there's a lot of hippo, the hippo get caught in the nets too. And obviously with the little hippo calves, if a little hippo calf gets caught there, he's going to drown. It's not just the fish, it's the wildlife too. This year we located a snare line of 87 snares. and we found 3 dead impala in those snares. These are wire snares, so whatever it catches, pretty much killing it. And they will obviously maim larger animals like elephants. Once these guys have caught their fish, because sometimes these guys are living there for months, they will smoke the fish, put them in sacks, and then on the meat side of it, they'll do the same. The cell signal not far from the Zambian cell signal, so it's easy for them to communicate with the guys on the Zambian side. Okay, we've got enough fish now, all right, come pick us up. It's all commercial, and they take this meat back into Zambia as the fish, and then they sell it. It's all commercial. In that area, I know what it was like long ago when it was protected properly. You used to see so much wildlife on the lakeshore. It's my intention to try and bring that area back to what it was there. Fish with protection. It doesn't take too long for them to be back up there if we can get on top of the netting, and hopefully bring the wildlife back. With me working through GAP and Zimbabwe Special Guards Association, we've got a magnificent group of members passionate about conservation. We really would like to do a lot more. One example is we did buy an old boat recently for $1,500. It didn't have a trailer, it just needs a little bit of work on it. We need to get a motor for it and a trailer for it, and then we can leave it down in that area. And our intention is to actually employ somebody that can stay down there and do regular operations with national parks. In other words, they'll be the driver for national parks. Liaise with national parks, okay, coming to pick you up from this day to that day. Yeah, and hopefully we can get that done. We've started, we've got the boat. We need help, obviously, whether it's, every dollar helps, we can do more. I certainly can't do it all by myself, and certainly our GAP and Zimbabwe Professional Guards Association can't. So yeah, we're going to just keep fighting. If we can only do a bit, we will do it. If we get into a good position where we can do a lot more, believe me, we'll get stuck in and get the job done.